It's soccer time. It's the world seems so interested in this thing that I know you two are following year round.
When you run up against kind of the juggernaut that is Vermont Green, tempers are going to flare.
Who have been your favorites to watch on the field?
We knew what he brought in because we've watched it. We've seen it.
I've just seen him burn so many right backs so far this season where he's just cooking guys up that left side.
I'm a Neve stan, you know. She's injected so much energy into this team recently.
Is America trying to turn soccer into a four-quarter sport? What's your take on the hydration break so far?
I'm a very cynical and embittered person about this.
Our very own Mitch Wertlieb is busy fielding contract offers after his first pitch at a Lake Monsters game last week has him considering a career change. Judith, if the Lake Monsters are watching this, we got to get you up there throwing out the first pitch.
I would be want to try it. It seemed cool. I seen like other people do it, and I was like, oh.
They were pretty unstoppable. I mean, outscoring teams by 100 runs is pretty incredible, and they capped it off with a title.
Hello and welcome to the Sports Rapport. I'm Nathaniel Wilson in for Mitch Wertlieb on this program that's all about the world of sports in Vermont and beyond. Today on our show, Burlington Free Press sports reporters Judith Altneu and Alex Abrami stop by to debrief the recently wrapped high school sports season, plus Mike Popovitch and Tyson Foster from the Vermont Green FC podcast United in Green chat with us about the club's big games this past weekend and dish on their favorite World Cup kits. Like and subscribe if you're with us on YouTube, and let me know in the comments what jerseys have you enjoyed seeing most during the World Cup so far. And if you are with us on YouTube, you might notice things are a little differently this week on the Sports Rapport. We are no longer live streaming the show. Instead, we are pre-taping it and packaging it and putting it out on Monday evenings. The product that you are getting as a viewer shouldn't change a whole lot, but if you've got any thoughts, let us know in the comments or shoot us an email at sports@vermontpublic.org. And then quickly, before we get into things, we've got two new champions in the pro sport world. Firstly, the Carolina Hurricanes shut out the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0 to win Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals over the weekend. And in the NBA, the New York Knicks defeated the San Antonio Spurs to win Game 5, which they won that series 4-1 to win the NBA championship. If Mitch was here, we would talk more about the NHL. You guys know that's not really my bag, but I can give you this NBA knowledge. This is now 8 years in a row in the NBA that we have had a different champion standing at the end of the year. And during that time, no one has repeated. And of the two teams that have played in the finals every year, no one has even gone back the next year after competing in the finals. And so it is safe to say that the NBA's parity era is continuing. And if you ask me, it's some of the best basketball I've ever seen in my life. The New York Knicks, they started 1-2 in the playoffs against the Atlanta Hawks in the first round before they rallied off, I'm pretty sure, 13 straight victories. They went 15-1 in their last 16 games. They finished this playoff run with an incredible record of 16-3. If you were with us last week, you know Mitch and I were hard rooting for the Spurs. We did not want the Knicks to make this happen, but they did. And there is no denying the truth that is Jalen Brunson. And so Knicks fans, I'm sure, started celebrating. I think on Saturday night was when that game ended, and I know that they have not stopped. The ticker tape parade is happening this Thursday, and congratulations to those new champions, the Knicks and the Hurricanes. If you are listening via radio or podcast, we encourage you to check out the video version of our program, which exists on YouTube. And if you want to hear more about what's happening in Vermont sports, you're in the right place. It's time for the High Five. It's the segment where we count down 5 of the biggest stories from the last week in Vermont sports. Coming in at number 5, if you think Knicks fans had to wait long for a championship season, New York's 53-year drought pales in comparison to that of Rutland City's Mount St. Joseph Academy baseball team, which won its first state championship since 1949 on Sunday, beating Blue Mountain Union School 3-0. Mount St. Joseph was led by freshman pitcher Carter Robilotto, who struck out 12 batters on his way to a complete game win. At number 4, 2 Vermonters topped podiums over the weekend at the 2026 New England Track and Field Championships in North Berwick, Maine. Burr and Burton Academy senior Robin Tajin won the girls' 100-meter hurdles final with a time of 14.28 seconds, and Thetford Academy junior Sebastian Pertizet jumped 47 feet 9.5 inches to take the top boys triple jump prize. Congratulations to the many Vermonters who competed in the regional championships last week. At number 3, Vermont Green FC is coming off another impressive weekend. The club's men's and women's teams both faced off versus teams atop their respective league tables. On the men's side, Vermont handed New England FC its first loss of the season with a 5-0 drubbing. The men are now 7-0-0 this USL team season. And the Vermont women's team played Hartford Athletic to a 1-1 draw on Friday night. Those two teams remain locked at the top of the Northeast Division standings in the USLW, both sporting records of 3 wins and 3 ties. The two Vermont teams are back in action tomorrow night as the men will host Seacoast United and the women will take on the Hudson Valley Crusaders in New York. At number 2, 5 high school teams capped off undefeated seasons with state championships last week. In Division I softball champions BFA St. Albans beat Colchester to cap off their second straight undefeated season. D1 baseball champions Essex High School beat Mount Anthony 5-0. D3 baseball champs Thetford Academy beat Bellows Falls 8-0. The girls lacrosse team from Rice Memorial High School defeated Burr and Burton 8-7. And the boys tennis squad from Burlington High School capped off an undefeated season with a state championship win over Middlebury. And at number 1, our Sports Rapport regulars knew this one was coming. Our very own Mitch Wertlieb is busy fielding contract offers after his first pitch at a Lake Monsters game last week has him considering a career change. Let's take a look. There's Mitch standing right in front of the plate. He looks to first. Okay. The catcher wants him to throw one. He doesn't like it. He squares up. And Mitch put that one directly over the plate. Champ called it a strike. If you are watching, you saw Mitch threw some heat right over the plate. And if you did not see that one, wherever Vermont Public is online, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, this video is out there. We put it up, and we encourage you to come watch it here on the Sports Report YouTube channel if you have not. And so we're going to be right back with Mike and Tyson from the Vermont Green FC podcast, United in Green. I'm Nathaniel Wilson, in for Mitch Wertlieb. This is the Sports Report. I'm joined in studio today by our friends from the United in Green podcast. We've got Tyson Foster and Mike Popovitch with us today. Guys, how are you doing?
Doing good.
We're doing great.
Always nice to have you guys back. A little early morning vibes here at the Falls.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're having you guys in because Vermont Green just played a huge game on Saturday evening. I was there at Virtue. They took on New England FC, and it was a little bit of a smacking that New England FC took on at the hands of Vermont Green. I hope we can start though. Quickly, I'll say this: the final score of the game was 5-0. Vermont won. Let's set the scene though. Why was this such a big game? What was the table looking like headed into this week, Tyson?
So these were the two kind of undisputed best teams in the division. NEFC had been on basically a steamroll throughout the division. They were also playing a very heavily front-loaded schedule because they've played, I think, 3 more games?
Three, yeah.
3 more games than Vermont had by the time they played each other. So they were also an undefeated team, had scored more than 25 goals throughout all those games, had given up fewer than 10 goals throughout all those games. So this was kind of billed as the kind of measuring stick for where these two teams were kind of going to be for the rest of the season. So that's why this was quite the clash.
And Mike, I know you guys previewed this game on your podcast, United in Green, earlier this week. Before the match kicked off, what were you anticipating?
I was anticipating a good game. However, I had the feeling that with the games that NEFC had played already, that I didn't feel it was a very strong schedule. It was a front-loaded schedule. They played both of the Boston teams. They played Albany Rush. So you can build up your goal differential on teams like that sit at the bottom of the table. So I didn't feel that it was going to be as much of a test for Vermont Green as maybe the standings dictated. But, you still never know going into it, because they did beat Western Mass Pioneers 4-2. So when you're looking at a table, it's easy to say this team's undefeated, this team's undefeated, this is going to be a great clash. You really have to look a little deeper sometimes into who they've played, what the score lines were, what the stats looked like, whether they played away or home. So there are a lot of different variables when you're looking into it, but on its face, it looked like it was going to be like one of those two like teams that are going to be fighting for the division.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was going to say one of the real kind of measuring sticks for me was going to be the fact that this was going to be the game that we play against NEFC at home at Virtue Field. Now, Vermont historically has had a kind of pretty amazing record at Virtue Field. Vermont has only lost 3 times in the regular season of the USL2. Wow. 3 times since 2022. Those losses have been to Western Mass Pioneers, which has historically been, one of the best teams in the division. Then also the New Hampshire team, which we don't say their names, but that team from down in Epping, New Hampshire. Those are the only 2 teams that Vermont has lost against. That's not a professional team that we've lost to in the U.S. Open Cup or in playoffs. We obviously won all of our playoff games last year. So this was, if NEFC was going to try and get any kind of points out of this game, it was going to be a real uphill battle.
And so let's get into the game. Like I said, it was 5-0 to Vermont. There were 5 different Vermont players who scored. I've got Rosas, Ajagby, Caparda, Zelafro, and Dos Santos all found the back of the net. What were you guys seeing? And Mike, we'll start with you. Why was Vermont finding so much success on the field on Saturday?
I think it's 100% the way that Chris Taylor sets up. They invert their wingbacks. They bring their 2 outside defensive players at any point, depending on where the ball is, and they bring them basically into the midfield. They can be attacking midfielders. They can also be holding defensive midfielders. They serve a bunch of different purposes. But with the way that Chris Taylor plays and sets up his team, those players are generally more attacking players. They carry the ball. They're good passers of the ball. They're confident with the ball at their feet. They're generally very quick. So if they have to, they can get back and track back and defend when they need to. And when you have a U.S. men's national team under 20 playing at your right back position, you can be pretty certain that right side is going to be pretty locked down defensively. But going forward, we've had players in the past like that is a big position for a Vermont Green player. Bernardo Prego played there, and he's currently in Portugal playing. So I mean, when you look at the way Chris Taylor sets up, it's set up to constantly push forward and put the other team under pressure. And if a team like NEFC hasn't felt that kind of pressure at all during the season, or for any long stretches of play, they're not going to be used to having waves and waves and waves of attack coming at them.
And something I saw Saturday, I think that the pressure really got to NEFC at times. It was a game that was very physical and it was chippy at times. I know being in the stands at Virtue Field, there were lots of people wishing that the ref would maybe get things a little under control. What did you see on the field, Tyson? What was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is kind of, as Mike was saying, one of the real kind of dangers of really having that very kind of soft front-loaded schedule. The Green do a very good job of including in their kind of yearly schedule. Yes, we have all of the USL2 games that we play for our regular season games, but then we also have the U.S. Open Cup. We had the Hank Steinbrecher Cup, where we can go and have this team play other quality opposition, both home and away. You know, that game that we had down in Hickory in North Carolina, like that was a very challenging game where we saw these players really have to go and put in that extra effort, really kind of go that extra mile to go and get a result on the day. And, you know, the USL2 Northeast Division that Vermont plays in is actually a pretty unbalanced division. You have a bunch of very good teams right up there at the top. You know, Vermont Green, Western Mass, the New Hampshire team, and then also BlackRock this year has been very, very good. They're an excellent defensive team. But, you know, there are some kind of dregs in this division, which are, you know, Albany Rush, the two Boston teams, that are kind of little more than speed bumps if you've got like a good team like NEFC has. NEFC has a good team. You know, they're not undefeated for no reason, but just when you run up against kind of the juggernaut that is Vermont Green, you know, if you aren't experiencing that same success that you're used to and that you've kind of really grown accustomed to, tempers are going to flare. And so
at this point in the season, the Green have played 7 league games. They have 7 left. They're 7 wins, 0 ties, 0 losses. I've got it. They have a goal differential of plus 28, which is the highest in USL2. Only 2 other teams are at 20 or higher, which is Minneapolis City FC and then Sueño FC out of Illinois. I'm wondering, as we are looking at the rest of the season, how well do you think, or let me take that back actually. What are you more impressed with, Mike? Are you more impressed with the offense or the defense that we've seen out of Vermont so far this year? They have scored an incredibly high amount of goals, while I think they've only allowed 3 in their 7 league games.
Again, it's a testament to the way that Chris Taylor sets up this team to succeed. And I think that we haven't had a lot of moments that we've had some small moments of defensive pressure. There was the game in Connecticut where, you know, we had a ball put over the top of us. It was an amazing strike. Right?
It was a wonder goal.
It was a wonder goal. You know, lots of times defenses can't prepare themselves for something like that to happen, and it just happens. I think that in Tyson knows, and I've said a number of times on the podcast, I'm a fan of a big good midfielder. And like I said, the way that they set themselves up, they don't like to let the ball pass a little further past midfield. It doesn't generally get there because of the way that they set up. So the defensive backs, our center backs, can feel free to play kind of just wide open. They can kind of improvise when they need to, when they want to. There's not a lot of pressure that comes from the defensive side of this squad. We haven't really seen that in the past. You know, even last year's national championship team got put under pressure quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I want to jump in here, Tyson. The end of last year, there were the comeback wins. There was the game at Lusitano with the late winner, and that was so much of the story of last year's teams, as it was the end of the regular season and into the playoffs. It was these comebacks, these late goals. We were talking about the fans and on the road and at home, the way that the Vermont Green fans were kind of propelling this team to late success, kind of like the New York Knicks, who just won the NBA championship. I'm wondering, as we are approaching the playoffs rapidly at this point, how well do you think this team is prepared for single elimination when maybe the game won't be 5-0, right? And when it's there, they don't have a lot of opportunity, or they haven't had a lot of opportunities so far this league season to play from behind. And I'm wondering how you think that sets them up for postseason play.
Well, this is actually something that we have talked about on the podcast. I actually did bring that up, I think, just last week, is that, you know, this team is just so deep. Like, it's such a well-built roster. Adam Pfeiffer has done an amazing job of just bringing in a phenomenal group of talent to go and play on this team that in some cases, the training sessions that Vermont has are going to be more competitive and more combative than the actual games that they're going to be playing.
Yeah, that's something we heard. We had Brandon Marshall and Andrew Miller on recently, and Andrew was saying that was the thing he was most excited for this season was that training and seeing those is tougher than the games.
Yes, like those training sessions are brutal. And, I think that it kind of goes back to the point that, we made a little bit earlier in that the Green have really kind of made an effort to go and make sure that this team gets to play other quality opponents that are different than the ones that they're going to be playing in USL 2. This is a team that has a lot of the core parts of this team have already played in 2 U.S. Open Cup games. They've beaten a professional team. They lost in penalties to another professional team. It's not as if this group of players, they're all heavily touted D1 college prospects, or if not D1, like a very, very high level college players. These are players who want to be professionals. This is, this kind of player lives for the opportunity to go and play in the playoffs with, the fan base that we have here. I don't think that we're going to be lucky enough to go and get another big run of playoff games at home at Virtue Field. That's probably not going to happen. But, this team knows that they have a mission, and I would not bet against them in the playoffs for sure.
Mike, I wonder if we can talk about the players a little bit then before we switch gears and talk about the women's team for a sec. Last time you two were on, we had kind of explained to the listeners and our audience, the way that the USL 2 functions is that it's a league where college players are playing during the summer. They need to be able to maintain their eligibility. People talk all the time about when is Vermont Green going to move up? And I explain to people they would have to completely redo their roster if they did that, because one step up would mean fully professional, where we're at a point now where these are just college guys who are playing summer ball, and it's very high level summer ball, but it's college players. Who have been your favorites to watch on the field this summer so far in the Vermont Green uniforms?
From the men's side, I can say that Marco Dos Santos. I mean, we knew what he brought in previously because he did play for that New Hampshire team for a number of years growing up, and we knew what he had because we've watched it, we've seen it, we've seen him burn us before. He's been amazing. Of course, David Jagbe. Dave showed us what he had last year. But for me, like, Diego Rosas has been a revelation.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew what we were going to get with Arnold Machazi as well. Like, one of those prototypical center forwards who's he's got an eye for goal. But Diego Rosas has been an amazing distributor of the ball. He's been an amazing goal scorer so far. I think he's probably on 5 and 5 right now, 5 assists and 5 goals. I don't know if he assist on any of those goals this weekend. It's hard to tell. There's so many. They came quickly. On the women's side, Georgina Clark has been amazing. Liv Shippey in the back is just. She's just a wall. She's just a brick wall, and you don't get balls by her. But
Neve Renwick
is my MVP this season so far, and she's really only come into the team kind of recently. She had a small injury, and which kept her out of the early part of the season, and she's working her way back into the team, and she has just been amazing. She's one of these players who can play in the midfield. She can play up front. She's great with the ball at her feet. Very tactically adept, but she's also got an engine that doesn't stop, and she can finish. I've said on the They Play in Green podcast, the women's podcast that's hosted by our friends Sarah and Abby, that Neve has kind of injected so much kind of energy. I'm a Neve stan, she's injected so much energy into this team recently. And we have Abby Carcio to thank for that too. Is just making smart decisions.
Tyson, who have been your favorites on the field?
Well, I was going to say, I think that Mike kind of, the players that Mike brought up are all fantastic players. I was going to give some love to Abby Carcio because, like Mike said, this is the first year that the Vermont Green women have had their full season. Mm-hmm. It is Abby going and kind of putting her stamp on this team. We know that there's a culture that goes along with the men's team. There's an expectation of what goes into having a player come to Vermont and play for us over the summer. And Abby is putting in that exact same kind of blueprint for the women's team. Obviously, Sam Ewis did a really good job in the, kind of couple exhibition games that she coached. But Abby is putting her stamp on this team. She's putting her stamp on this organization. Mm-hmm. Like we said, just kind of establishing, a minimum expectation about what you are going to play like and how you are going to train, how you are going to kind of be involved in the team on a day-to-day basis as a Vermont Green player. And I just think that she's done a fantastic job this year.
Yeah. Myself, I want to shed a little love. I've really enjoyed watching Samson Caparda play on that left wing for the men's side.
Yep.
His one-on-one skills and his speed, I've just seen him burn so many right backs so far this season where he's just cooking guys up that left side. And then on the women's side, Violet Rademacher at the center back spot has been just so strong. Especially you had mentioned Shippy, who is a rock back there, and she is awesome. And I think they've got good synergy there in the back. The women's defense has looked really great so far. So let's switch sides over here and talk about the women's team so far, because this weekend wasn't just big because the men's side had the NEFC game on Saturday, but the women's team played against Hartford Athletic on Friday, and so both sides of Vermont Green had matches versus a team that was at the top of the table with them. That game was a tie. It ended in a 1-1 draw. Mike, what did you see from the women on Friday night?
I can, we talked about it on the They Play in Green podcast. It was one of these things. It's like, what can we expect out of this game? What do we want out of this game? We wanted Vermont to come out fast. They didn't really come out fast. We wanted them to score early. They didn't score early, right? They got scored on early, right? So when you get put in that position kind of immediately, you have to kind of change your game plan. And again, credit to Abby Carcio, right? Making smart substitutions, making smart tactical decisions on the field to change things up a little bit. The passing got a little more crisp. The rate that these players were working off the ball changed a little bit. I think their whole kind of tactical disadvantages that they had when they put the initial team out there to play switched up in the second half. And I think that, Vermont has, when they're playing in front of their home fans, you have that drive to go and get that goal that's actually going to, either equalize you or get you that win. And through the entire back half of that game, Vermont was just attack, where when they played in the first game of the season, it was a little bit different. Vermont came out front-footed, attacked, and then kind of sat back, and Hartford opened up. These two teams are the class of the division. I mean, I don't think there's much separating them, but there's a lot separating those two teams, from the rest of the division.
Yeah, Tyson, anything to add? What are you expecting from the women's team as they see out the rest of their season?
I mean, I do think that, obviously after kind of that first game that they played down in Hartford against Hartford Athletic, I think that was kind of a very good almost litmus test to see kind of where the team was at kind of going into this season. And we've seen them do really well. We've seen them succeed in a whole bunch of different environments, in a whole bunch of, different kind of game states, going in and taking out the New England Mutiny in their game beforehand. Like, that was an excellent game. We saw them kind of go and have to deal with a lot of battles throughout the midfield. I think that, like Mike was saying, we've seen that this team is one that can kind of succeed when put into a bunch of different positions. They can go and come from behind and score an equalizing goal to make sure that you secure some points. We've seen them go and play some pretty rock solid defense when they've needed to. And, also, as is kind of the Vermont Green way, we have seen them be able to attack, which is, very much a crowd pleaser. I've been very impressed with everyone on this team.
You're tuned into the Sports Rapport. I am here on set with Tyson Foster and Mike Popovitch from the United in Green podcast. Fellas, it's soccer time. It's the world seems so interested in this thing that I know you two are following year round all the time. You're living and breathing it. The World Cup, we're a few days into it. I think games started on Thursday. It is Monday now, and so we've had 5 days of games so far. Today's day 5. How have you been feeling about this World Cup so far, Tyson? Let's start with you.
I think that they're kind of one of the big overarching themes of the World Cup kind of initially was, what kind of experience are fans going to have as they're coming to the U.S. and kind of the current political climate. We saw that there were a bunch of issues in terms of, various teams or players having some very different treatment as compared to some of the other ones. We saw an excellent African referee get denied entrance into the U.S. And that's all been kind of a little bit of a black mark on the tournament. But, one thing that has been a incredible bright spot has been all of the fans of the world kind of coming to the U.S. and having just amazing interactions with the regular people in America. We've seen it with the Algerian national team in Lawrence, Kansas. We've got that German dude, Freddie, going and rolling through the southeastern U.S., enjoying a Waffle House at 1 a.m. And then, the Tartan Army in Boston just kind of living their best lives, leading bagpipe marches through Boston Common on their way to Fenway, which is where they were at last night. Or just
there was the Scottish fan who proved America wrong and walked to the MetLife Stadium from New York City.
Yes, exactly. So just like all of these kind of amazing fans being able to come and like experience America, like that's been great. And then of course some great footy as well.
Mm-hmm. Mike, so much of the story leading into this World Cup was, I think, focused off the field. But for me, I know when the games start, it's hard for that to not be the focus. We've gotten some really exciting play. On Saturday night. The U.S. men's team beat Paraguay in their first group match. What have you been seeing on the field that you've been enjoying so far?
Of course, the U.S. men's national. I will always root for the U.S. men's national team, U.S. women's national team. When you have a World Cup, like Tyson was saying, like it brings the people of the world together, no matter where it is, really. Soccer really is, or football as it's known outside of the U.S., is really the world's game. It's a game that anybody can play. So like Tyson was saying, we got to kind of put some of the political stuff aside, the off-field stuff aside, and look at what's being put out there on the field. All of these teams, whether it's Curacao getting their first goal ever, right? Whether you're watching Ecuador, who was kind of heavily favored, losing their match, to Ivory Coast. Germany trouncing, just 7-1. Yeah,
their first point ever in the World Cup.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Canada getting their first point ever in the World Cup. Yeah.
You got to look at the product that's on the field, and it's first class. It is first class. Every one of these, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but most of these games were competitive from the jump. And then they kind of, as games do sometimes, they just kind of like widen themselves out, and that happens. But watching the U.S. men's national team throughout the preliminaries was like, what is this team going to be? I don't know what this team is going to be. And being a Tottenham Hotspur fan, I know what Maurizio Pochettino soccer looks like. It didn't look like that when we got to see them on the field against Paraguay. It was Maurizio Pochettino soccer. So like a lot of these teams that maybe didn't do well or just barely eked in, you might see them making a little noise because they're not going to show you in the prelims everything that they have to show you. So like the soccer so far has been really, really good. It's been great to watch. The fields have been prepared a lot better than we had seen on social media. And a lot of people out there trying to get clicks and stuff, but the fields look great. The atmosphere has been great. Every stadium has been sold out. It's been loud. It's been fun to watch.
Speaking of Pochettino ball, the big story, I think, so far this World Cup that has been on the field has to do with the hydration breaks that we're seeing at the halfway point of the first half and the second half. And talking about Mauricio Pochettino, who is the U.S. men's head coach, it's the press, it's the pressure. How much do you think the water breaks are allowing the U.S. team to be so aggressive in that first game against Paraguay?
It does give it can cause a disadvantage. It can cause an advantage. If you're playing on the front foot consistently, playing on the front foot, and then you have to take a break in the middle of the half, it can really kill your momentum. I mean, even if you have a corner kick to start or a throw in to start, even if you have the ball to start, start play again, it doesn't mean that you're going to start play on that front foot again. You take time out. It gives everybody a chance to regroup. It gives you time to talk to your team while you're having a hydration break, restructure your tactics. Everything, has a cause and effect from this.
Tyson, is America trying to turn soccer into a 4-quarter sport? What's your take on the hydration break so far?
I don't think it's a matter of them trying to turn it into a 4-quarter sport. I'm a very cynical and embittered person about this. This, in my view, is, yes, they are trying to go and give the players some hydration. They started doing this back in the last World Cup that we saw back in Qatar. This just smacks of them trying to sell more ad time, because we already have seen them going and running these ad packages nonstop in here, and they swore up and down that we would not see any kind of that there wouldn't be any instance of ads going and overlapping onto actual gameplay. But I think we almost missed a goal in was it the Australia game? The Australia game, the ad break went too long and play had already restarted once we came back in.
It was at 12 a.m. though.
It was at 12 a.m. I will say that, the Aussies run deep, and I'm sure that when they were watching the Socceroos go and play, they were not less pleased to almost miss one of their goals.
And so I think of you two very much as kit men, and I mean that as a compliment. You guys are always coming in here wearing the fly gear. Tyson, you've got the Scottish football jersey on. We got some images loaded up. I'm hoping we can talk about some of our favorite kits that we have from the World Cup. Fellas, just call one out and we can talk about it, and they'll pull it up. They'll follow us.
Oh, okay. So I am, of course, wearing one of the late 90s, early 2000s Scottish national team alternate kits. One of my favorite kits from this World Cup is the Scottish away kit. There we are. Look at that. That is a beauty. It's almost a salmon color. It's kind of a departure from the traditional tartan that you would see a lot of the Scots play in, both home and away. I think that this is still a beautiful, beautiful kit. I love this one. I will be going down to the Soccer Post a little bit later, maybe not this week, but soon, to pick up one as well.
Mike, what's your favorite so far, or ones you're enjoying?
I like the U.S. men's national team kit, the home kit. The waves, the waves with the red and white stripes. At first, when I saw it, I was like, I don't know how that is going to play on TV. Is it going to be distracting? Is it going to be just terrible looking? You know, they had the iconic kit from the '94 team, the denim kit with the stars on it. The players didn't like that kit when they saw it, right? I don't know if the players like this kit or not, but like it played really, really well on TV.
It did.
It really looked really classy and really nice, and that's my favorite kit so far. I mean, obviously I'm a homer, but it is one of my favorite kits so far.
I think I had seen that there were U.S. players, maybe including a small group of them, including Tyler Adams, that helped design this kit. And so I didn't know that they were unhappy with the last one. But yeah, One of the ones that I like, and we've got an image of this one, is the Argentina away kit, which is the black one that they have with the kind of blue and white, the leaves in it. I just think this one looks so good. This picture looks a little dark, but I think when we see that one on the field, that the blue and white is really going to pop.
Yeah, I totally agree. Obviously the number 10 on there. But like I think this is going to become one of the iconic kits out there. That does have that feathery leaf kind of look. It's like classy, it's clean, it's got design to it. It's a beautiful kit.
And of course, I think that we had talked about this kind of in prepping for this show, but of course, Matt Wolf, one of the owners of Vermont Green, designed one of the most iconic World Cup kits, which is the 2018
Nigeria,
the 2018 Nigeria kit.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that beauty. You know, it's another one of a classic Matt Wolf kit. He's got the geometric designs in there. He's got just that amazing light green and black. It just pops off of both off the screen and also while you've actually got it on the field. My kind of other one that I'm really standing for this year is the German national team kit.
Yeah.
Die Mannschaft. There we go. That is just a classic Adidas kit.
It really is. It's so Adidas. It's so German football.
It's so German football. It's really nice. They went and this year they kind of added in those kind of diamond marks in the middle of it. That was honestly, I saw some discourse online about this kit that a lot of people didn't like that, but it just looks so good.
Yeah, they have the we don't have an image of it, but they have the stripes on the socks as well with the diamonds in the front, which I think looks so good. The red and yellow and green stripes kind of peek back onto the shoulders a little bit. I just think those look awesome.
Yeah.
And then I think the last one we have loaded up is the Netherlands kit, the orange, which is just classic. It's so beautiful. It's so bright.
Yeah, the side panels are amazing. What really pops out when you're seeing it on the field is the center crest. I mean, the kit itself, like the orange, that shade of orange is just beautiful. But I didn't really realize it until I saw Virgil van Dijk's post-match interview. That center crest on the kit, the way it shines, and it's kind of like got an iridescent shine behind the lion. It's a classic kit for a classic international team, and I always love watching the Netherlands play because they invented basically what is modern football, and getting out there and watching their fans pregame dancing in the streets, like coordinated dancing in the streets, filling the streets of America, you know, and it's just it's an amazing team to watch, and that orange just like really pops.
Quickly, actually, I think we pulled up both of the South Korean jerseys because we all thought that those look especially clean as well.
I think the South Korean jerseys are always amazing. The last one they had the black with the similar design to the home kit. They're the red one, but they had the black with a bunch of different colors kind of mashed into it. The purple this year is probably one of the brightest kits that you're going to see out there, and it's going to look great on Sonny's back too.
So before we get you guys out of here, I just want you to let our audience know where can people find United in Green podcast and where can people find They Play in Green, the two Vermont Green FC fan podcasts that you guys run.
Yeah, you can find us on Spotify or Apple. Those are the major podcast platforms. But almost all of the podcast platforms you can find us. You can find us on Instagram and on Blue Sky. But you can also find us on the Blazing Musket. And they are kind of our benefactors. They allow us to do what we do, and they're a group of amazing soccer journalists who have a website. And they cover all things New England soccer. So you can find anything from the USLW, the NWSL, all the way up through the USL, all the USL New England teams, and the MLS team in New England as well.
Yes, so keep it locked with United in Green and They Play in Green. And of course, here on the Sports Report, we are following Vermont Green FC as well. Tyson Foster and Mike Popovitch, thank you so much, guys, again, for joining us in studio.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
This is the Sports Report. I'm Nathaniel Wilson in for Mitch Wertlieb, and I am joined in studio today by two of the best that we have in the state when it comes to sports reporting. Burlington Free Press sports reporters Alex Abrami and Judith Altneu. So happy to have you guys back on set with us for the Sports Report.
Glad to be here again.
Yeah, nice to be back.
It was a super busy weekend for the two of you, which included some traveling to southern Vermont. Do I have that right, Judith? Where were you at this weekend covering games?
I was at Castleton on Friday, so only one game there. And then I was at Virtue Field for all 4 lacrosse games.
Alex, where were you at this weekend?
I stayed local, and I was at Centennial Field on Saturday for D1 and D2 baseball.
Now, we're going to run down the list and we can talk about all the champions and all the various sports, but we noted earlier in the program that there were 5 schools that capped off undefeated seasons last week, and the list includes BFA St. Albans softball, Rice Memorial girls lacrosse, Essex and Thetford baseball, I think also Burlington boys tennis. I'm wondering, Alex, if you can start, how often do we see undefeated teams, and maybe how often do we see this amount of undefeated teams across the state in one season?
Yeah, that seems to be a lot for one season. When you're looking at multiple divisions and different sports, I think it depends on the sport, depends on the season, but it's hard. I mean, you have to win every game. Like, when does that happen? It's kind of rare, and especially rare in D1 baseball. It was the first time in 19 years. This is Essex baseball going 17-0, first time in 19 years, and really. From what I could gather, just the third time in 50 years.
Wow!
So it's rare. It's a sport like baseball. You just don't know every day. It's going to be someone different. It depends a lot on your pitcher. And Essex baseball went 17-0 in a pretty incredible season.
Judith, who do you think was the strongest team that you covered this season?
Probably, I guess if we were trying to go undefeated teams, it's probably BFA St. Albans softball was probably the best. That was their second straight undefeated season.
Yeah.
And this senior class dropped only like one game, though none of those girls played varsity softball all 4 years of high school. But I think that one loss came in like a state championship game like 2 years ago. So impressive run to have like 3 straight like undefeated seasons.
We had been following Irie Shed, the freshman pitcher at BFA. She had an immaculate inning earlier this season, a perfect game earlier this season. Was it the pitching that made BFA St. Albans softball so strong this year?
I think so. In the state championship game, it was only a 2-1 game was what they won, and it was like a season low in runs for BFA St. Albans. So definitely was the pitching and the defense for sure. The pitching got out of them, the jams. Like the big storyline was Colchester got a runner on third in 3 separate innings, and they like couldn't score that run to like tie it up. So yes, and the pitching got out of the jam with some strikeouts. I think there was a foul ball that was caught for an out. Pitching definitely got out, so Jazz with some strikeouts and stuff. So,
Alex, how about you? Who do you think was the strongest team that you covered this year?
That'd be Essex baseball. Going 17-0, and the way they did it, they outscored teams, I believe, 116-15.
Wow!
So over 100 runs.
Wow!
And over the course of the season, they only trailed in 4 innings over those 17 games. So they were out in front in every game.
And that championship, they beat Mount Anthony 5-0.
5-0. It was tight early, and they scratched out a run in the third, couple more in the next few innings. So it was close early in that game. Wasn't sure which way it was going to go, but just the way Essex pitched all season, they had 3 aces. And the senior Sam Bent led the way in the final. Had a great year at the plate and on the mound, and they were pretty unstoppable. I mean, just outscoring teams by 100 runs is pretty incredible, and they capped it off with a title.
Judith, I remember when we had you guys on last was after the winter sports playoffs and championship season. I remember you were talking about how your predictions were so accurate in the winter. I'm wondering if you did predictions before the spring championships.
We did. I'm trying to even remember who I picked. I know I did pick BFA St. Albans softball. I believe D2 softball I got wrong because that one had Missisquoi. It was a 4-3 game, and Missisquoi the 4 seed, and I think I still picked Linden. But I think I did pick Rice, though, to get there. So I was like, I know D2, boys lacrosse, I had Hartford and Hartford. I had the matchup right. I just don't remember which team I actually said was going to win it. But I did know I picked the game right. I just don't remember. Right.
Alex, how are your predictions?
I went chalk in baseball, and I was right for the first 3 divisions with Essex, Mount Abe, and Thetford. That seemed kind of obvious to me going into it. And then in D4, MSJ, Mount St. Joseph's down in Rutland, they won their first title in 77 years, upsetting the 3-time champ Blue Mountain. That's a great story there with MSJ, ending a 77-year title drought. They have some kids from Mill River. It's kind of a member-to-member with MSJ, so that's certainly helped. But that's a good story down there that they won their first title in a very long time.
Let's run down the baseball scores. Did you see those games over the weekend?
I saw D1 and D2.
Okay, let's talk about the D2 game. You said Mount Abraham beat Linden, and you had said you had picked that one. Any surprises though as you were watching it? Not
a surprise, but it's very interesting with Mount Abe. 2 years ago, they lost in the championship game to Middlebury, and they had the game won. There was a bases loaded walk in the bottom of the 7th inning that would have scored the winning run, but the batter started celebrating with his teammates, and he didn't go down to first base. And that was just an awful way they ended up losing in extra innings. Yeah. And the player, Clark Creary, is now a junior. He's the catcher on the team. And he had his redemption on Saturday, and they won 5-3. Wow. The coach had a redemption because I think he felt some blame on how everything transpired 2 years ago. And they were a wagon this year. They killed every team that they faced. They had 1 loss and 1 tie, and they're a really good team. And they certainly were the favorites going in, and they finished the job and they got it done.
I'm wondering if the both of you can kind of talk about some standout athletes, maybe ones that played this season or just ones from earlier this spring season that you want to shed some light on. Maybe a player who's not a senior who you're looking forward to coming back next season. Alex, who are you looking at, and who really I think deserves some more light shed on them after the spring season that they had?
I'm going to go back to Essex baseball and Jacob LaRoche, lefty pitcher. He's a junior. He pitched a 2-hit shutout with 11 Ks in the semifinals. And that was really like the championship game. They beat Colchester 1-0 on a walk-off. And if not for his performance, maybe they don't get to the final. And he didn't pitch much as a sophomore. He had an injury to his arm, so he was coming off of that. And he had a tremendous year. And so maybe a little bit overlooked by Sam Bent, who was the winning pitcher in the final. But LaRoche had a tremendous semifinal, a classic game against Colchester that went to the bottom of the 7th inning, and that was the only run of the game. And so he's someone to look forward to next year as a senior.
Judith, who are your eyes on this spring season?
The first one was coming up to me was Irie Shed. Like, I think I only saw her pitch like two games from just how it worked. But and I guess the other pitcher would probably be Destiny Hendy from Colchester. I know Alex was at the semi or finals game for her, but from what the coach was telling me after the game, like the only reason Colchester softball was in the game was because of Destiny Hendy. Like, she had, I think that was her 3rd time pitching against St. Albans, and that was one of her best games, holding them to BFA St. Albans to like just 2 runs. And not a lot of hits. So Destiny Hendy was a sophomore too. Obviously, I know that was on a losing team, but definitely it was like the pitching helped Colchester stay in the game for that. And then I guess because I mentioned Irish, going back to her, obviously Alex was telling me a little bit that she was legit, and then I didn't kind of get that she was like, oh, like big name, like really, really good, till I saw, oh, she threw a perfect game, I guess, coincidentally against Colchester. And I was like, oh, okay, like this girl is okay, or like legit good. So.
And she did a little relief pitching in the championship game over the weekend, right? You got to see her.
The reason the coach Bert Bethune said was because it was hot. It was maybe hot for to let the starter Megan Donahue go the whole game, so he brought kind of shut in, and she bounced back. I know the umps were saying something about she couldn't bring her hands together twice and was doing that, so it was a little bit of unsettled. I guess probably some nerves or just stuff that an ump just never told her she wasn't allowed to do. But then she settled in and got a strikeout to end the game. With the tying run on third base. So I think it was a good moment for her.
So the spring seasons have wrapped up, and I know graduations happen for so many high schools already across the state. Alex, what are you looking forward to covering this summer now that you have less high school sports to follow so closely?
I mean, Judith kind of handles VT Green, but I'd love to go there, watch a game, help her with coverage. There's the Lake Monsters. There's Little League stuff for baseball and softball next month. There's the Shrine football game the first Saturday in August. That's Vermont's senior all-star football players against New Hampshire's best, or some of New Hampshire's best, and that game's been going on for, I think it's around 70 years.
Wow.
And some time off. I think Judith and I will both take some time off this summer and get ready for the fall season.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Yeah. Judith, what are you looking forward to covering this summer?
I guess the green. We still haven't quite figured out our summer plans of just when everything is and what aligns. I mean, somehow I just wound up with the green last year because Alex was on vacation and I was there. But I mean, we're probably more than welcome to share that. I don't really know. I guess Little League was just kind of interesting, different, since I don't watch any Little League growing up. So I don't know. I guess it gave a chance to, cover some stuff I hadn't really covered before or reported on before. I know feature story. I know last year we did, which wasn't happening this year, but like the Vermont, like the alumni team and the basketball tournament thing, or like the money thing. I did a few stories on that. I know that. I don't know if
TBT.
It's on a 2-year thing, or Vermont doesn't have a team this year if it's happening this year, but I don't know if it is. But so, I'm not exactly sure, but like those stories did kind of well. So we'll maybe kind of see what pops up and be like, oh, that's interesting. And, do that.
All right, Alex, I saw you at the Lake Monsters game last Wednesday before Mitch Wertlieb threw out the first pitch, our host of this here program. And I promised you that even though we already showed it in the show, we need another opportunity to show this. And so I'm wondering, Mike, if we can pull this clip up for our audio listeners right here. We're seeing Mitch warm up on the side of the field. It was a rainy day, Alex. You were there. The game, I think, only went an inning and a half.
Yeah.
All right, Mitch is getting loose. He's on the mound. He checks first. What an actor, this guy. Fakes the cutoff pitch. And Mitch sent it right over home plate.
It's a strike.
It is.
It's a strike.
Champ called it. Judith, what's your reaction to Mitch's athletic display there?
That was good. I want to say I've always kind of wanted to do a first pitch. I don't know. It sounds cool. I know I would be bad on it and probably maybe not quite make it to home plate. But yeah, I don't know. It was good. Yeah.
I think he lucked out that it was a rain delay.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to throw it 60 feet.
Yeah. I noticed that also when we were there. It was the catcher was in front of the home plate. Mitch was slightly off the mound. I know he had been practicing for the big distance, so we can't say he wouldn't have done it. But
he comes away with throwing a strike as his pitch. So,
yes.
That's better than probably some of the celebrity, the viral runs of like the guy totally or person totally missing, or.
Yeah, Yeah.
Judith, if the Lake Monsters are watching this, we got to get you up there throwing out the first pitch.
I would want to try it. It seemed cool. I seen like other people do it, and I was like, oh, wish that was me one day, maybe.
Yeah,
but...
we got to make it happen.
Okay.
Where can people find your work at the Free Press?
You can go to burlingtonfreepress.com for our stories, and you can check us out on Instagram, @BurlingtonFreePress_sports. And that's where we post a lot of our stuff.
Awesome. Alex Abrami and Judith Altneu, thank you for coming back on the Sports Rapport. If you missed any of today's show, you can find it on our YouTube channel, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe while you're there. You can also catch the show on Vermont Public Radio on Monday nights at 8, and it's available wherever you get your podcasts. Find out more about the show and how to get in touch with us at vermontpublic.org/sports.